Hey guys, welcome back to Get in the Game Sports Podcast. Today we have episode 2, way too early AFC record predictions. The schedule just got released, so we're doing it based on that. Today we have with us Brent.
Hi.
Samir.
What's up?
Abhi.
Hey.
And Rohan.
Hey guys.
And we're starting off with the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs. Last year's record, 12-4, first in the AFC West.
This year I have the Chiefs going 12-4.
I have the Chiefs going 13-3.
I have them going 11-5.
I have the Chiefs going 13-3.
I think the Chiefs will go 12-4.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Chiefs. So some obvious additions were Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back, and Rashad Breeland, cornerback. But another addition for the Chiefs was that of Mike Remmers. He's the right tackle from the Giants. He came in on a fairly cheap contract, and he's probably going to help shore up. He's probably going to back up Mitchell Schwartz or maybe get moved to left tackle. This provides some insurance depth for the Chiefs.
You guys think the Chiefs will be going to the Super Bowl again?
Yes, I actually do think the Chiefs are going to go to the Super Bowl with the
caliber
of a quarterback.
I think it's going to be another repeat.
Yeah.
I don't think
the
so.
Caliber of a quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
I don't think Patrick Mahomes can go crazy for that long.
I don't think the Chiefs are going to repeat.
Neither do I.
So then, who do you think would stop them?
The Ravens.
I think the Ravens would definitely beat them in the AFC Conference Championship.
Yeah.
I think they just don't have a good enough defense in order to win at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well then, what are their notable losses?
Well, the Chiefs in the offseason lost cornerback Kendall Fuller to the Washington Redskins. They also lost defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah as he signed a contract with the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, so the strength of schedule for the Chiefs is actually at 50%, which is tied for 18th in the league. So which means they have an easier strength of schedule than more than half of the teams in the league. Which means that a high record for the Chiefs is definitely feasible again.
I still think that Lamar Jackson's going to need another year to really go to his true potential and beat out Patrick Mahomes in a slug out in the AFC Championship. So that's why I have them going back to the Super Bowl.
Especially with Tyreek Hill in comparison to Marquise Brown.
Yeah. Okay, so on to the Denver Broncos. Last year's record, 7-9, second in the AFC West.
This year I have the Broncos going 11-5.
I have the Broncos going 9-7.
I have them going 9-7.
I also have them going 9-7.
Oh, well, I'm here on the rear end. I'm going to have them going 8-8.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Broncos. Obviously, you have A.J. Boye, Melvin Gordon, and Jerry Jeudy, but they also had some others. They had Jarrell Casey, a defensive lineman for the Titans. He's huge. He replaces Derek Wolfe. They also have KJ Hamler, another receiver, to help outside of Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton.
So some of their notable losses this year was cornerback Chris Harris Jr., as he has now left the team.
Okay, let me explain why I see
signed with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Rohan, what's their strength of schedule?
So the strength of schedule for the Denver Broncos is 51.2%, which is actually 12th in the league, which means only 11 teams have a harder strength of schedule than them. So they have a little bit of a tougher schedule, but they have made some upgrades. So
let me explain why I think the Broncos are going 11-5. The Broncos are going 11-5 because they selected two great receivers in the draft by the names of Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler. These draft picks are going to help out the young quarterback very well. Also, they signed a proven running back, Melvin Gordon. Although he was a little bit of a locker room trouble with the Chargers last year, he is going to make a huge difference to the Denver Broncos offense. Also, their defense is not lackluster either, with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb building up a great pass rush.
Oh,
Also,
what I
I think to add to that, I think AJ Boye has proven himself on the Jaguars, and I think he's a very good replacement for Chris Harris Jr.
Well, here's why I think the Broncos are going to go 8-8. I mean, you guys are obviously forgetting the fact. I mean, Sadar and Brent, you guys mentioned that Kansas City Chiefs might go to the Super Bowl, and they are definitely Super Bowl contenders. So being in a division with them is obviously going to be a challenge for them. Also, they have a very tough schedule this year with Week 3 in Tampa Bay, Week 7 in Kansas City, Week 12 in New Orleans, and Week 15 at Buffalo. So those are 5 playoff teams that can easily go to a conference championship. So I think that Denver does not have their work cut out for them, and I think they're going to have a really tough schedule this year, and I don't think they're going to see much success.
Alrighty then. Moving on. The Las Vegas Raiders. Last year's record 7-9, third in the AFC West.
This year I have them going 7-9.
I have them going 7-9 as well.
Yeah, same. I have them at 7-9.
I have the Raiders going at 5-11.
I think the Raiders will go 6-10 this year.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Raiders. You have Corey Littleton, linebacker, Malik Collins, defensive lineman. You have Henry Ruggs, wide receiver, but you also have Damon Arnett, who is a cornerback, a first-round cornerback. This may have been a little bit of a reach, but now the Raiders are obviously relying on him to do good since they drafted him with a first-round pick. You also have Nick Kwiatkowski, a linebacker from the Bears. Helps with linebacking depth. They also got Marcus Mariota. I don't know how much of an impact he'll make for them. And they got Jason Witten, but similar with Marcus Mariota, he might not make much of an impact.
For the Raiders this offseason, they ended up losing safety Carl Joseph, which could hurt them in turn in the secondary.
Rohan, what's their strength of schedule?
So the strength of schedule for the Las Vegas Raiders is actually 49.6, which means only 20 teams have a tougher strength of schedule than the Raiders, which means they could actually surprise some people and do decent.
All right. Well, for me, I just think it's the second-year experience of great running back Josh Jacobs that I feel like is going to give them a mediocre record in the AFC West.
Also bringing in the receiver and Henry Ruggs, he's going to make a huge difference.
And that, I guess, will pair with Tyrell Williams well for the deep attack with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I mean, I just see them going 6-10 because with the new move to Las Vegas, I think it's going to be a new environment for Derek Carr in this Raiders franchise, and I don't think they're ready for it.
All right, moving on. The Los Angeles Chargers. Last year's record, 5-11, last in the AFC West.
This year I have them going 6-10.
I have them going 3-13.
Yeah, I have them only at 3-13.
I have the Chargers going at 5-11.
I have the Chargers at going 6-10.
Okay, so notable additions for the Chargers. Obviously, Justin Herbert and Chris Harris Jr. noted there, but they also got some more notable additions that aren't listed on the screen, such as Brian Bulaga, a right tackle from the Packers, and Linval Joseph, a defensive tackle from the Vikings, who is actually very good. And yeah.
Well, I can tell you. Oh no, you can go on the high first.
Oh, okay. For the Chargers' main losses, they lost quarterback Phillip Rivers to the Indianapolis Colts. And they also lost running back Melvin Gordon to the Denver Broncos.
So the strength of schedule for this year is 49.2. 22 teams have a tougher strength of schedule than them, so they actually have a pretty favorable schedule compared to most other teams, so they could rack up a few more wins than people are expecting.
For me, why they're so low is that the competition in their division is just getting much higher, and Justin Herbert, he's very raw talent, just like Jordan Love, as we said in our previous video. So that's just the uncertainty that I have in this team.
Yeah, why he's low is that the Chargers are doing a reboot, like a refresh on their team. They are getting rid of veteran players, really, and they're refreshing their team. And I just have a strong belief that when a team refreshes, you can't expect it to do insane just that season. You have to give it time, and you got to build the players' trust with each other, and from there they'll get better.
With the Chargers, we're talking about a top defense in the league, with players including Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram.
Yes, I
Also,
agree.
their offense isn't that terrible either, although they do bring in a new quarterback that's young and raw, as Sid said. But they do have competent players to go around him, like Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are definitely going to go 6-10 this year, even though they may not have the offensive superpower with new rookie quarterback Justin Herbert. I think they still have the defense, as Brent mentioned, Joey Bosa, Derwin James. They just added a new addition in Linval Joseph. And also, I mean, going young is not necessarily a bad thing. As we've seen with other teams and other quarterbacks, they have also found success in that department. So I think the Chargers are going to end up 6-10. Not with a winning record, but they'll still make an improvement from last year.
I really think this depends on Justin Herbert and how much he progresses in his first season.
Same. The quarterback is the threshold that holds the team together. And if that's not there, then it's hard for teams to win. Okay, on to the AFC East. The New England Patriots. Last year's record, 12-4, first in the AFC East.
This year, I've them going 7-9.
I also have them going 7-9.
I have them going 10-6.
Same with me. I have them going 10-6 as well.
Yeah, I have them going 8-8.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Patriots, right? You have Kyle Duggar at safety, their highest draft pick. You have Marquise Lee at wide receiver, so not that many new additions for the Patriots. You have Bo Allen and Adrian Phillips, but I'm not sure how notable they are as NFL players.
As for the notable losses for the Patriots, they lose franchise quarterback Tom Brady, who's been with them and won plenty of Super Bowls with them. They also lose wait, hold on one second. They also lose Kyle Van Noy, inside linebacker, to the Miami Dolphins, which could hurt their linebacking core in turn.
Okay, so the strength of schedule for the Patriots is 53.7, which is the toughest in the league. Yet I have them going 10-6, and here's some reasons why. So Bill Belichick, he's an amazing coach. We've seen this throughout the last 2 decades and what he's been able to do. Sure, some may argue Tom Brady carried Bill Belichick, but I really don't think if Bill Belichick hadn't been as good as he is that the Patriots could have seen this unprecedented level of success. They were able to win with no-name players. One being Wes Welker. Before he came to the Patriots, he was a no-name player. Nobody really knew who he was. Then he went on the Patriots, exploded. So basically, what I'm saying is that they can win with Jarrett Stidham also.
Okay,
and Tom Brady was also a no-name quarterback before he went to the Patriots. He was drafted with a 6th-round pick, and everybody who was good on the Pats after leaving them has not been good, like Jamie Collins. When he got traded to the Browns, he wasn't that good. When he went back to the Patriots, he was good, but I don't think he'll be good again on the Lions. And Nate Soldier, he's not good with the Giants.
Okay, I have the Patriots going low because they're going to transition into a new generation now with a new quarterback. Bill Belichick's a great coach, as you said, but with a new quarterback and a mediocre offense with like receivers by the names of Julian Edelman and such, Chris Hogan. Although they do have some pretty good running backs, Sony Michel and James White, I don't think they're going to make that much of a difference. Also, their defense is pretty good, but losing Kyle Van Noy is going to be a major loss for them, and I don't think they can recover from that.
I don't think losing Kyle Van Noy will be as much of a dent in their defense as people think. They still have a great secondary with Stephon Gilmore, Jason McCourty, Devin McCourty, and Patrick Chung. That's still top-notch secondary in the NFL.
I still think the defense keeps them in their games, but as you said, Rohan, they have the toughest schedule by far out of all teams, and that's why I fear that they go 7-9.
Yes, but also the toughness of their schedule, why they have the toughest schedule in the NFL, that starts really from the beginning of the season. So by the end of the season, they're not playing like necessarily the best team, so they could always make a rebound.
All right, moving on. The Buffalo Bills. Last year's record, 10-6, second in the AFC East.
This year, I've been going 11-5.
I have them going 10-6.
I have them going 12-4.
I have the Bills going 9-7.
I have the Bills going 12-4.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Bills. Obviously, is Stephon Diggs, who came to Minnesota with the first-round pick, and Mario Addison, defensive end from the Panthers. You also have A.J. Epicena from the draft, second round. You have Zach Moss, a running back. And that's pretty much it for notable additions.
They added Josh Norman.
Oh, yeah, and Josh Norman, but he has not been that good in Washington, so I don't know how much of an impact he can make.
For the notable losses, the Bills this season lose Jordan Phillips, defensive tackle. They also lose defensive end Shaq Lawson, and those are two huge components on their D-line, so they may not be the same in that category anymore.
Okay, so the strength of schedule for the Bills is 52.5, tied for the fifth toughest schedule in the NFL. So very tough schedule for them.
Well, even though they have the fifth toughest schedule in the NFL, Brady's gone from the AFC East, and he's held that whole AFC East for the last 2 decades. And now I feel like the Bills are going to step up in their quarterback's third year, and I think they're just going to go from there.
I don't know. There's just something
especially
about
with bringing in a receiver by the names of Stephon Diggs, like a top all-pro type caliber receiver.
Well, I'll just say that. I just think that Josh Allen is going to keep rising from now, and I think that along with his offense composed of many threats, he's one of the threats, and he has many targets and weapons to throw to. I
agree.
think it's going to help them a lot.
Yeah,
I think
totally
the
agree.
Bills are going to be pretenders this season. If Josh Allen does develop well and he becomes a great quarterback, then maybe they could become contenders. But if Josh Allen doesn't,
I think the Bills
played the last 2 seasons, and I don't think they're going to be.
I think the Bills are going to win the division, and I think they can make it to the divisional round.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bills, with the addition of Stephon Diggs, help Josh Allen's confidence, and they help the Bills grow offensively. And I think that's what they were lacking last year when they failed against the Texans in the AFC wildcard.
Next, the New York Jets. Last year's record, 7-9, third in the AFC East.
This year I have them going 4-12.
I have them going 5-11.
I have them going 8-8.
I have them going 4-12.
This year the Jets' record will be 6-10.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Jets. You have Denzel Mims and Brashard Perriman, 2 wide receivers. You also have Mekhi Becton, an offensive tackle from the draft. You also have George Fant and Connor McGovern, 2 more offensive linemen from Seattle and Denver, respectively, and Greg Van Roten, a guard from the Panthers.
For the notable losses this offseason, the Jets lost star wide receiver Robbie Anderson to Carolina, and this can hurt Sam Darnold's chances at being a franchise quarterback because he no longer has a number 1 target to throw to.
Okay, so the strength of schedule this year for the Jets is 53.3, second hardest in the NFL.
Okay, so I'll say why I think the Jets are going to go 8-8. So I think the Jets are going to go 8-8 because, to start off, Sam Darnold is a good quarterback, and he just hasn't been surrounded by the right materials. He never had a good offensive line. He never really had that many good targets to throw to. If you can't help your quarterback, then you can't expect him to succeed. But now they've realized that he's good. They realize that they're using their draft around him. So they've added Denzel Mims, wide receiver, and Brashard Perriman from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to help him a lot. And they took first round Mekhi Becton, and again building the offensive line. This is all surrounding Sam Darnold himself to make him a better player, and I think that's really going to work out this year.
Okay, so I agree with what you said. Sam Darnold is a good quarterback and all, but I don't think the Jets just realized that Darnold is a good quarterback. Otherwise, they wouldn't have drafted him 3rd overall or even traded up for him. And with Denzel Mims and Brashard Perriman, they're mostly unproven. Robbie Anderson is more proven than both of them. And him going is a significant loss for the Jets at wide receiver. Last year, the offense sucked. They couldn't get any yards. And I don't really think they improved their situation that much this year. Sure, they added all these offensive linemen, but most of them are either average or unproven. And the defense is only average itself, so I'm
but
not sure how the defense can really carry the offense.
Well, adding offensive tackles and offensive linemen like Mekhi Becton can not only help Sam Darnold, but also running backs like Le'Veon Bell.
We don't know if Mekhi Becton is going to be good in the NFL, if he's going to be bust. Also, with what you said about Le'Veon Bell, I really don't think he's going to have a bounce back this season. Maybe sometime in the future, maybe with a different team or whatever. But this season, I don't see it happening.
All right.
Also, the Jets have the second hardest schedule in the NFL.
All right, moving on. The Miami Dolphins. Last year's record, 5-11, last in the AFC East.
This year, I have them going 6-10.
I also have them going 6-10.
Yeah, I have them 6-10 too.
I have the Dolphins going 7-8-1.
I have the Dolphins at 7-9.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Dolphins. You obviously have Tua Tagovailoa, your quarterback. You have Kyle Van Noy, your linebacker. Byron Jones, cornerback. You also have another cornerback with Noah Igbenogany. He's a cornerback at the end of the first round. You add in Austin Jackson, tackle, with the 18th overall pick. And you have Eric Flowers, guard from the Redskins. Yeah.
So on defense, Miami loses pass rusher Taco Charlton, which can hurt their chances at getting more pressure on the quarterbacks throughout the season.
What's Miami's strength of schedule?
So the strength of schedule for the Miami Dolphins is 52.9%, third toughest in the NFL.
Well, obviously we can all agree that the Dolphins are going to be a mediocre team with Tua in his freshman year in the NFL.
Yeah,
Nothing much more to say about that. But Samir, do you want to make a point?
Well, I think, the Dolphins are a young team this year. I think with the addition of rookie quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, I think I see him doing okay, but I don't see him leading them to a playoff game or even a winning record for that matter.
All right, moving on.
I agree with you.
Yep. The AFC South. Sorry. Houston Texans. Last year's record, 10-6, first in the AFC South.
This year, I have them going 7-9.
I have them going 9-7.
I have them going 9-7.
I also have them going 9-7.
I have them going 8-8, 500.
So some notable additions for the Texans. You have Brandon Cooks, wide receiver, and David Johnson, running back, two skill position players. You also add in another skill position player with Randall Cobb, who came over from the Cowboys, and Eric Murray and Jalen Watkins, two defensive backs coming from the Browns and the Chargers, respectively. And you have Ross Blackcock, defensive tackle from the draft.
Well, for the noble losses, this one is a killer for the Texans. They lose franchise receiver DeAndre Hopkins in a trade with the Cardinals, which clearly hurts their Deshaun Watson's chances at making the playoffs again if he does not have a number one target. Also, they lose DJ Reader, defensive tackle, which can hurt their pass rush.
Okay, so the strength of schedule for the Houston Texans is 51.8, tied for 8th toughest in the NFL.
Okay, so I want to ask something. So how much does losing DeAndre Hopkins really mean? Like, because they still have Will Fuller left, and he's shown that he, like, towards the end of the season, he had that one game, like, he went crazy. I mean, that's only one game, but do you think
Will Fuller's made of glass? He's so injury prone. I think they
And
downgraded.
so are all the other Texans receivers.
I think that's a great metaphor, Brent.
And I think, DeAndre Hopkins was definitely, like, their star receiver. I mean, he was targeted the most out of all Texans receivers last year by Deshaun Watson. And for Deshaun Watson to lose his primary target, I think that's going to hurt his chances at them making the playoffs and his success this year in the passing game.
Yeah. All right, moving on. The Tennessee Titans. Last year's record, 9-7, second in the AFC South.
Here I have them going 10-6.
I also have the Titans going 10-6.
Yeah, I have them going 11-5.
I have the Titans going 10-6.
I also have them going 10-6.
Okay, notable additions for the Titans. You have Vic Beasley, linebacker, and Christian Fulton, cornerback. You also have Isaiah Wilson, an offensive tackle from the draft. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for notable additions.
As for the offseason, the Titans lost former first-round draft pick Jack Conklin, offensive tackle, which has been a key component in the running and passing offense for the Titans, as well as backup quarterback Marcus Mariota to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay, so the strength of schedule for the Titans this year is 49.8%, 20th in the NFL.
All right. Well, I think it's just gonna be the Derrick Henry show again, proving that he's again gonna be a beast in the NFL this year. And I think the Titans are gonna have a really good chance of winning their division this year.
I also think Ryan Tannehill, he could lean on Derrick Henry, and what he's asked to deliver, I think he can in most situations, at least.
And the defense is no slack either. They're pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. The Indianapolis Colts. Last year's record 7-9, third in the AFC South.
Here I have them going 8-8.
I've been going 6-10.
I've been going 5-11.
I have the Colts going 7-9.
I also have the Colts going 7-9.
Okay, so some major notable additions were Phillip Rivers, quarterback, and DeForest Buckner, defensive tackle. But they also added skill position players from the draft, such as Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. They also added Xavier Rhodes, a cornerback, to replace Pierre Desir, and that's pretty much it.
The notable losses this season, in the offseason, the Colts lost cornerback Pierre Desir, and they also lost pass catcher and tight end Eric Ebron.
So for the strength of schedule for the Colts, it's 50.2%, tied for 16th in the league.
Okay, so here's my case for why the Colts are going to go only 6-10. First of all, their new quarterback, Phillip Rivers, is a declining quarterback. They don't have a good secondary, and their number one corner who they got in free agency, Xavier Rhodes, struggled last year in Minnesota. They don't have any proven wide receivers outside of T.Y. Hilton, and he's not getting any younger. He's 30 years old, and Michael Pittman, the guy they think is going to replace T.Y. Hilton, might not be as good as we all think.
Okay, I think the Colts are going to be average at 8-8 because, yes, they did get a declining quarterback, but it's not like he's terrible. He's a competent quarterback, and a change of scenery might help him. Also, they do have T.Y. Hilton. He's barely on the field because of injuries, but when he's on the field, he's a clear game changer. Also, their defense, adding DeForest Buckner gives them a great pass rush along with Jabal Sheard.
All right. Anybody else want to take a stab at this?
I mean, I just don't see the Colts doing that well. I agree with you, Siddharth. I think they have a declining quarterback in Phillip Rivers, and I think he's on the last leg of his career. And I don't see the Colts doing that well because they don't really have any superstars apart from DeForest Buckner on defense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Phillip Rivers is just a Band-Aid right now for them.
Yeah, I also think that Phillip Rivers is a declining quarterback, and I do think that he'll take time to even settle in with the Colts.
All right. Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year's record, 6-10, last in the AFC South.
This year I've been going 13, or not 13-3, 13, sorry.
I have the Jags going 3-12-1.
I've been going also 13-3.
I have them going 2-14.
I also have the Jags at 2-14 this year.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Jags. Outside of C.J. Henderson, Kayvon Chaisson, their 2 first-round picks from the draft, there weren't much. I mean, they did add Joe Schobert, an inside linebacker. That was arguably their biggest notable addition free agency, and they added Tyler Eifert, a tight end from the Bengals.
This year, the Jacksonville Jaguars lost 2 stars on defense, one of them being A.J. Boye, a proven corner who has repeatedly shown up for the Jaguars, and he has gone to the Denver Broncos. And they lost also Calais Campbell to the Baltimore Ravens in a trade.
Okay, so strength of schedule for the Jaguars this year is 49.4%, 22nd in the league.
Well, I mean, the Jaguars are just a declining team. They don't really have a franchise quarterback. They have Gardner Minshew, who just came in last season. And I think their defense is not getting any better with the loss of A.J. Boye and Calais Campbell. So that's why I have the Jaguars at 2-14 this year. And I don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah. They lost Jalen Ramsey mid-season. And I just think that Leonard Fournette is not the running back that they thought.
Jonathan Ngakoue staying on the team.
Yeah, they have not a declining quarterback, but a quarterback that hasn't proven himself. They have a running back that hasn't proven himself that much. Yeah. They don't have that many targets, really. Even if they get targets, the offense is not going to work.
Yeah, building off of what you said, Abhi, I think they're just in absolute rebuild mode. They don't have any superstars to contend with, and I think that's why they're going to be a very bad team this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. AFC North. Baltimore Ravens. Last year's record 14-2, first in the AFC North.
This year I have them going 13-3.
I have them going 12-4.
I have them going 13-3.
I have them going 14-2.
This year, the Ravens' record will be 13-3.
Okay, notable additions for the Ravens. You have Calais Campbell, defensive end, acquired in a trade, which Ravens only gave up a fifth-round pick, and Patrick Queen, linebacker, in which the Ravens used their first-round pick on. And apart from it, they got Derek Wolfe, a defensive end from the Broncos, and that's pretty much it.
For the notable losses this offseason, the Ravens lose defensive tackle Michael Pierce, as well as inside linebacker Patrick Unwusar, which hurts their defense a little.
Okay, so strength of schedule for the Baltimore Ravens this year is 43.8%, last in the league. They have a very easy schedule.
Well,
Exactly. Obviously, I think we all think that they're going to win the division, as Lamar Jackson's only going to get better. And their defense has obviously gotten a lot better as well.
Yeah, they have a really strong offense. They have a really strong defense. And considering the easiest strength of schedule, they're gonna have a good season.
We all agree that they're going back to the AFC Championship and possibly the Super Bowl.
Well, last year they ended up.
Although I predicted the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, I think the Ravens have a great chance of going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I thought the Titans upsetted them last year.
In the AFC divisional.
Yeah, my bad. All right. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year's record 8-8, second in the AFC North.
This year I have them going 9-7.
I've been going 8-8.
I've been going 10-6.
I have the Steelers going 8-8.
I have the Steelers at 9-7.
Okay, notable additions for the Steelers. You have Eric Ebron and Chase Claypool, two receivers for the Steelers that could really help. Ben Roethlisberger out. You also have Derek Watt. I don't know how much of a significant addition a fullback makes, but he does have the third highest contract of any Steelers player that has come or gone. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So this offseason, the Steelers lost defensive tackle Javon Hargrave. So the Steelers' defensive line has gone obliviously weaker, as well as free safety Sean Davis, which takes a bite out of their secondary.
Okay, so the strength of schedule for the Steelers this year is 45.7%, second lowest in the NFL.
Well, I mean, I see the Steelers taking a step up this year because last year, if you look at it, I mean, they started off with the week 1 with Ben Roethlisberger getting injured. They cycled through quarterbacks in Mason Rudolph and Devlin Hodges. And I think through all of this, I think their organization was able to pull it together. And, I mean, they still finished 500, which is pretty good considering they did not have a franchise quarterback or a starting for that matter. And I think 9-7, just a little bit of a step off, but it's the progress for the Steelers organization. I think when they have Big Ben back, I think they should be able to figure things out.
I'm gonna break
Especially
down
adding two good pass
what
catchers.
Samir said. So Samir did say that they didn't have a starting quarterback. They had a third string for some time. And this year now they get Big Ben back. And they have more targets. So now they have Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster for Big Ben to throw to. They add Eric Ebron with the side of Vance McDonald and all of those and James Conner in the backfield. I think they can take it a notch up.
I think they stay the same as James Conner, still pretty unproven. I don't really like him as a player. And obviously, their defense is getting much better as T.J. Watt is becoming a better player, but I still think that they're going to sit at the same record as last year.
Well, I think that Big Ben is up in age. He's very old, and I'm not sure how much of a more positive impact he'll have compared to Mason Rudolph or Devlin Duck Hodges. I also don't think Juju Smith-Schuster is the number 1 receiver in the NFL. We saw this last year when he only got like 500 yards.
Well, that was a different quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't think you'll go back up to like 1,400 yards with Big Ben, maybe 800, but that's not really number 1 receiver material. The only reason I really think he had 1,400 yards his breakout season was because Antonio Brown was there on the opposite side. And outside of T.J. Watt, I don't see what's really good about the Steelers defense, especially secondary. They don't really have many pieces there.
So if Juju Smith, so you said about Antonio Brown. So what Rohan was saying about Antonio Brown you were talking about that the defense would cover Antonio Brown, leaving a worse cornerback to cover Juju, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that they have Chase Claypool, do you think that if they covered Juju with better cornerbacks, that Chase Claypool could prove his potential?
I don't think
I
they'll
don't think
cover
they're gonna
Juju with the
cover
same
Juju
weight.
with better
I don't
With
corner.
a better cornerback. I don't think Juju's that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to cover Juju with the same amount of defensive backs.
Yeah.
Same defense as AB.
All right, moving on. The Cleveland Browns. Last year's record 6-10, third in the AFC North.
This year I have them going 7-9.
I have them going 11-5.
I have them going 10-6.
I also have the Browns going 10-6.
This year, the Browns' record will be 500, 8-8.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Browns. You have Austin Hooper and Jack Conklin, tight end and offensive tackle respectively, two major upgrades for the offense. You also add in their second round pick Grant Delpit, safety, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
So this offseason, the Cleveland Browns took a step back on defense when they lost middle linebacker Joe Schobert to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They also lost free safety Eric Murray, which can in turn hurt their secondary.
Okay, so the strength of schedule for the Browns this year is 46.1%, 29th in the league.
Okay, going off of that, why I have the Browns at an absurd record of 11-5 is going off right of what Rohan said. The Browns are the fourth best strength of schedule, sitting at a 46% opponent win percentage. And one big factor is coaching. Last year, we all underestimated how much coaching matters, as the Browns were great on paper. As the Browns were great on paper, but they underperformed, as we all know. The new head coach, Kevin Stefanski, feels legit. He has experience because he was the longest tenured coach on the Vikings, and according to NFL Spin Zone, Stefanski orchestrated an offense that ranked 8th in the league in points per game with 25.4 a contest, 6th in the league in the run game yardage with 133.3 yards on the ground, and helping Cousins tally a passer rating of 107.4, which is fourth best in the NFL, all while upsetting the Saints in the wild card round. And they got better on the offensive line with Jack Conklin, and adding Jedrick Wills in the draft.
Well, Sid,
I
you're
just don't
forgetting the
see
fact that Kirk Cousins is not Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is yet to prove himself. And also, not to mention that the Cleveland Browns are in a division with the Baltimore Ravens, who are a potential AFC contender or AFC title contender. And just because they switched their head coach and Kevin Stefanski doesn't
Year after
necessarily
year, the
translate to
Browns
better.
have great star power, but they never perform.
Stefanski made Diggs and Thielen who they are today. And I think he can do the same with much better talent in OBJ and Jarvis Landry.
Well, I think that it starts from the very top, and I don't think it's going to stem just from the coach. I think it starts from the owner, and I think that the Browns are not going to be changing anytime soon, and I think they're going to continue to be a mediocre to below average team.
I think they're going to get better with Jack Conklin as one of the best tackles in the league.
Year after year, they have so many stars, but they never perform.
They can never produce because of the management.
All right. Moving on. Good argument, guys. Last team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year's record 2-14, fourth in the AFC South.
This year, I've been going 4-12.
I've been going 7-9.
I've been going 4-12.
I have them going 5-10-1.
This year, the Bengals' record will be 6-10.
Okay, so some notable additions for the Bengals. There are actually quite a bunch. Starting with Joe Burrow, quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. You have Von Bell, who is a defensive back from the New Orleans Saints. You have T. Higgins, a wide receiver from the draft. You also have DJ Reader, a defensive tackle from Houston. And you have Trey Waynes and Mackenzie Alexander, a pair of cornerbacks from the Vikings.
Well, this year, the Bengals lost starting quarterback Andy Dalton in free agency, and they also lost tight end Tyler Eifert, which was Andy Dalton's main target. So I think this will hurt Joe Burrow.
So the strength of schedule for the Bengals this year is 47.7%, which is 27th in the league.
Okay, well, this is my case for why I have them so high. This is head coach Zach Taylor's second year at head coach, so he's going to understand the system a bit better. Joe Burrow is the biggest factor in all of this. He won the national championship, the Heisman Trophy, and had an insane stat line at LSU. Also, He's going to have healthy receivers again this year because A.J. Green and John Ross are going to come back this year. And from a statistical standpoint, the Bengals lost 8 one-score games last year, proving that this year they can win all of them. Teams with win-loss differential that high or low in this case almost always regress in the opposite direction the next year, inflating their win total this year. Also, their O-line will be more experienced, and they added Jonah Williams from the draft to help them out there.
For me, it's hard to just see this Bengals take a giant leap forward, especially with the rookie quarterback in Joe Burrow. I think this whole system revolves around him and whether he can perform. And I think they're a young team. They're revamping their offense and defense. And I think considering they're in a division with Baltimore, I don't think they really have much of a chance to, be good or, have really good performances. And Joe Burrow, he's just getting used to the new system. So I personally don't believe that Zach Taylor in his second year can turn around this offense and turn around this team.
I have to disagree because A.J. Green hasn't really been in the offense for the last 2 years, so I think he's going to get a fresh start this year. Same with John Ross, who has really underperformed since
they've never actually
I don't think their offense will be able to keep up.
Yeah,
I think their offense is more mid-core, just like the entire team.
Yeah, I don't think they have a lot going on because they just got a new guy, and they're going to throw to some older guys in AJ Green and John Ross. I don't think they'll have the same connection as they did with Andy Dalton.
I think people forget how good AJ Green was a couple of years ago.
Well, now
the Bengals are going to be the worst team in the league, but I think they could be pretty close.
I think they're going to be – I have a feeling that they could be as good or a little bit worse than the Steelers. I really think this year. That's one of my bold predictions.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how it ends up.
Yeah. Anybody else want to make concluding statements?
I just think that this is like a future prediction. I just think in the future, the entire AFC North is going to get pretty good. The Ravens are going to be better. Obviously, the Bengals, they're like with Joe Burrow, they're obviously going to get better. The Browns will find their way. The Steelers will find their way. And I feel like the AFC North is going to get better.
Yeah,
building off of what you said, Abhi, I think the whole AFC, I think there's many different teams that are going around. We say, like, with the Bengals and Dolphins, there's 2 young quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa. And then you see with the Chiefs and Ravens, you have 2 superstar quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. So each team's in a different place at this point of the year.
I really think that it's going to switch, going off of what you said, Samir. I really think it's going to switch from the NFC being really good to the AFC starting to emerge now and one of the top dogs without Brady leading this whole conference. All right, well, that wraps up episode 2, guys. Part 2 to the NFL way too early predictions is going to come out next, the NFC side of things. Same with the Instagram. That's also going to be coming out very soon. This is Getting the Game Sports Podcast. Subscribe down below, and peace.